Perfect. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to our week 2 of the Lunch and Learn. First thing, if I could just ask you to please mute your volume so we don't get background noise at all. And I will continue to admit people if they come in. Right now, we have 10 participants sitting here. So like I said, welcome. I hope that the Wellness Challenge is going well. Hope that you're getting all those drinking water and exercising and all the fun things that are a part of the Wellness Challenge. Couple things I just wanted to make note of before we get into our presentation is thank you to everybody, all the teams that have sent in photos. It's really nice to put those team photos up so we can see who our competition is. Some of us are a little more competitive and like to know who we're competing against. We have 23 teams with 190 participants, so that's exciting. Lots of new teams this year. Remember, you're keeping track of your daily points and then just send those into your team captains once a week. Your team captain can talk about when that is the best time to send them in. I don't need to have all the points sent to me except for the mid results and then the very end. And even if the mid results didn't come in, not the end of the world, it's those end results. It's just nice to know if you are. Oh, we got some background noise here. I'm just gonna.
Okay.
I think, did I just going to do a mute here? I feel kind of rude when I can actually mute people. My husband would love that button for me. Anyways, so I don't need any points other than the mid results and then the end. And all that information is in there. I don't want to take much of our time today going through things like the information in the Wellness Challenge. So if you ever have questions, please contact your team captain, or you can always send me an email and I'll do my best to clarify whatever questions you have. All right, at this point, as we move into our Lunch and Learn today, I am going to hopefully share a screen with you. There we go. All right, give me a thumbs up if you see a screen on there. Yeah, okay, hopefully that's good. Excellent. This is the Wellness Pillars. It was a document that I did send out to everybody, and it's kind of the template of what we're using for our Lunch and Learn. Many of you maybe have heard of the Wellness Wheel. The wheel is often used. We're using pillars because there are 4 weeks and 4 topics. Last week, we spoke on the physical, or Angela LaFontaine, a physiotherapist, spoke about the physical component of the Wellness Pillars. And today we are going to have Sarah speak about the mental, which is taking care of your mind and learning new things. We often hear in our society lots about mental health. And Sarah's going to touch on that today. So just before we begin, the teacher and me is saying that we're going to read these questions, or I will read them quickly and then I'll pass it over. So the mental aspect is about taking care of the mind and learning new things. So a couple questions, and you can do this however you want, whether you jot it down before, after, during, or maybe you never jot it down. It's just something to think about. In what condition is my mental health? What is my self-talk, or that inner dialogue? What is it usually like? Is it affirmative, positive, optimistic, or perhaps negative, self-deprecating, or just a general negativity about yourself and others? Number 3, what are the intellectual and mental stimulations in my life? And some examples I listed: creative activities, reading, writing, studying, puzzles, crosswords. And I know there's many, many more than that too, but those are a few examples. Am I satisfied with my level of education and training, as well as my intellectual and cognitive development? Do I explore new learnings? So it's not just about that level of education, but are there new things that I can challenge myself with all the time? Number 5, are there things that I do that are negatively impacting my mental health? This might be such things as self-judgment, negative self-talk, destructive behavior. And what positive things can I do to enhance my mental well-being? And that basically is what we're looking at. Are there a few small things that we can do in our life to enhance our entire wellness? And mental pillar is one of them. And so back to those pillars, it is supposed to look like 10 little spots that you can shade in. So at the beginning of the Wellness Challenge, you can kind of shade where you think you are: physical, mental, nutritional, emotional. And then after our presentations, maybe you do a few little improvements or changes, and maybe you can move up a small step. We're always looking for small steps that can be lifelong lasting. So anyways, that is the Wellness Pillars. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I'm going to introduce Sarah. And Sarah is a recreational therapist. She's a program coordinator at Southwest Homes. And today she's going to speak with our group about the mental pillar. And again, a reminder that this will be recorded and I will put it up later this afternoon. It might take a little while, so it won't be available immediately. So Sarah is now sharing her screen and I'm going to mute myself. Thank you so very much, Sarah, for coming in. I know you're very busy. So we're excited to have you here today and we're excited to hear all that you have to share with us. Sarah.
Right. Hello, everybody, and thank you for having me. We are on lunch break, so hopefully you can't hear all the giggling that's happening outside of my office, but if you can, I apologize. So today we are going to spend some time talking about finding your flow and balance. So a little bit about myself first. As Val said, my name is Sarah Stukings, and I'm a recreation therapist that's currently working with Southwest Homes as a program coordinator. I follow a holistic approach, much like that of the wellness wheel in my professional life when working with clients on a daily basis, as well as in my own personal life. I've always had a passion for mental health and learning about the brain. As you all know, the Wellness Challenge is focusing on those 4 main pillars. So today we're going to talk about the mental pillar. And as I was preparing for this presentation, I spent time really diving into what the mental pillar is and the wellness wheel. So I would like to dive a little deeper into that and talk about how all of the dimensions are connected. So when you look at the wellness wheel, there's 7 different dimensions. There's emotional, intellectual, physical, social, environmental, financial, and spiritual. So although it's beneficial and important to look at each of these areas independently to have a better understanding of how they impact our life separately, it is my belief that when it comes to the mental pillar, we must be aware of all dimensions and how they influence our mental state, our cognition, and how we learn. So before we dive a little bit deeper into each dimension, I personally feel it's important that we look at and understand why our mental health is an important aspect of that. So mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. It also helps determine how we handle stress, how we relate to others, and how we make choices. It's important at every stage of life, from childhood and adolescence through to adulthood. And it can have a huge impact on our ability to learn new things and challenge our minds in a healthy way. So there's both negative and positive sides of mental health. So when we look at the side effects of negative mental health, we can see things, and this is just a short list of side effects that we might see. But we can see increased negative self-talk. So telling ourselves, I'm not good enough, I'm not strong enough, I'm not smart enough to do this, it's too challenging for me. We might also see a lack of motivation. So our ability to complete tasks or to get out of bed might be harder for us to do. We may find ourselves laying on the couch more, or just those everyday tasks being forgotten or put aside because we simply don't have the energy to manage them. We can also see increased agitation. So that might look like mood swings or feeling on edge. Everything around us is bothering us. We can see decreased energy, which ties into that lack of motivation, but can also look like brain fog and lack of concentration, which affects our cognition and that mental pillar. And then lastly, we can see increased social isolation. So we might be withdrawing from activities or peers. And we'll talk about this a little bit further on, but those activities and peers often have a positive benefit on the mental pillar and how our brain functions on a daily basis. So now to talk about the mental or positive mental health. So we would have an increased ability to cope with life stressors and change. We wouldn't get as sidelined by things. We'd have an increased positive self-image, feeling more confident and comfortable in our body, experience healthier relationships. We might have stronger support groups, friendships that are family relationships that are constantly uplifting and positive. And lastly, we would experience increased energy. So that can come along with cognitive clarity, increased focus, increased motivation, and ability to complete tasks with ease. So the importance of awareness. When we are more aware of our own mental well-being, we can become more adaptable and are often able to get back on track easier. We may also find that we have a greater understanding of what activities or supports assist us in dealing with our mental health and ensuring that we challenge our mental capabilities to have stronger, more resilient minds. A personal example of this for myself is over the years, I have struggled with anxiety lots. And so I've learned that taking timeouts, as I like to call them, for myself helps decrease those symptoms. So I've learned to start in the morning, making sure I'm doing a yoga practice, meditation, completing a gratitude list, or simply taking a break to go for a walk. So you may be asking yourself now, how do all 7 dimensions connect to mental health or the mental pillar? Or maybe you might already have an idea. But to start out, I'd like to look at the physical, emotional, and social domains as an example. So if we are struggling in our physical dimension, this can often lead to struggles in not only our mental state, but our emotional and social domains as well. We may start experiencing negative self-talk because we feel we aren't strong enough, fast enough, or at the same physical stamina that we once were. We may begin to isolate ourselves more, decreasing the number of social events we engage in. And the same can be reversed. So if we are struggling with our mental health, we are often less likely to be physically active. We may struggle to find the motivation to complete daily activities and not have the energy to engage in social situations and have a negative inner dialogue. However, when that is flipped, we will often find that we're feeling positive, we have more energy to go out and see people, we have that we're feeling strong, we're feeling fast, or that we have that stamina that we may wish to have. So then when we look at the environmental and financial dimensions as well, this can be linked into the mental pillar very easily. If someone is struggling with finances or finds themselves in negative environmental spaces, their stress levels are often more likely to rise. And we all know that when our stress levels begin to rise, we don't always act or feel like our best selves either. Our mental state tends to take a decline. And once again, this can be flipped to the positive. If we are feeling financially stable, if we are making sure that we're spending time in environments that are positive and uplifting, our mind will reflect the same. So finding our flow and balance. When we look at all the 7 dimensions, it might sometimes feel like a challenge to find a balance or flow, or it could feel like we're on a teeter-totter. One day we're good, and the next we might not be. However, it is my belief that when we spend the time to understand ourselves and our needs a little bit more, by looking into each of those 7 dimensions, we're able to find or create that balance and find our center, and the ups and downs can then become easier over time. We might be able to balance that teeter-totter. It has also been proven that when we find activities or interventions that help us, that it's easier to determine what may be causing us stress. We can pinpoint what dimension may be causing our mental pillar to feel off kilter. And then we come to the flow. So recreation therapists utilize the flow theory when working with clients to improve their quality of life. And so flow theory is a state of concentration and engagement that can be achieved when completing a task that challenge one's skill. So now I'd like you to take a moment and list the activities, whether it's mentally or on a piece of paper, that you engage in on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. And ask yourself, are these activities bringing me joy? Do they keep my attention? Do I stay engaged? Or does my mind wander? Do they challenge my physical, social, cognitive, or emotional skills while I'm engaged in them? And I also just want to take some time here to note that often these activities, when our life gets busy and full, are the first things to fall off our plate or that we don't allow time for. And so I know personally for myself, when that happens, I can feel my mental state shifting. If I'm not going to yoga on a weekly basis, I may find that my energy levels aren't the same. I'm not as able to focus at work, or sometimes if I'm running full tilt and I'm not getting enough sleep, I'm an overthinker, so lots of times my brain is constantly going, and then I get a little bit more agitated during the day. My ability to stay on that teeter-totter, keep it balanced, is harder. So that's always my cue to myself that I need to step back and take that time out. And however it may look like for that day, whether it's 2 minutes or if it's an hour. So I guess I'm going a little fast here. Hopefully we have lots of questions. So in conclusion, it's important to look back at that wellness wheel and the 7 dimensions to make sure that we can pinpoint what area might be affecting our mental pillar. And this is something that can take time to learn how to do. But if you engage in activities such as journaling or gratitude lists, mindfulness, it helps you be able to pinpoint those areas as well. So finding those activities or programs that assist in finding that balance and flow that continue to challenge our cognitive levels as well as the other dimensions can be extremely important. And it changes as we age and may look different as our abilities change as well. But making sure we're focused on those activities and engaging in that flow, that the activities are at the challenge that allows us to continue increasing our skills will help find the balance and flow as well. So with that, I'd like to say thank you to Val for inviting me to spend time with you all today and to learn more about the mental pillar of the wellness wheel. So if there's, I guess, yeah, thank you. If there's any questions, I'll take time to answer them now. Otherwise, I did talk a little faster than I assumed today, so we're done a little early.
There's just a thank you that came in there, Sarah. This was a very informative session, many new things to learn about myself, and I missed the last part of it. Anyone that has, oh, how to improve my mental health. That's from Kyla at the PharmaSafe team. Anyone that has some questions or even some things to share, things that work for you. What's maybe some of your activities or things that help you keep the balance or flow? Those are beautiful words, aren't they? I always kind of struggle with that word balance. I'm like, is there anybody that's truly balanced? I think we are always trying to do little things to help throughout the day to keep balance. But anyone have anything they'd like to share? Sometimes we can learn from each other. You have no idea what you've just done, people. If you give Val the microphone and time, like I can fill in time by chatting, but I was giving others opportunities. I don't know, a couple things that I have found when I listed, Sarah, when you asked us to do that, and I listed all different activities that I do, and do they bring me joy? Well, yeah, they do. My work brings me joy, exercise does, volunteering, church, friends, family. However, I think you could all relate that even though they bring joy, sometimes they get out of balance and all of a sudden they bring stress, right? So the parts of my work that I love, there's parts when it gets overwhelming, then becomes out of balance because I'm stressed. So little things I've tried to do is throughout my day is just doing close my eyes and take a few deep breaths and bring myself to a present moment. Or when I'm driving, I try to, maybe you've heard of this before, is using your senses. So I try to look and do 5 things that I can see, 5 things I feel, 5 things I see, and it brings me for a moment back to the present instead of my to-do lists that are going crazy in my head constantly. So, you know, there's some little things. Sometimes we think we have to incorporate a whole new practice that's going to be an hour of every morning, but sometimes we can do some small things and just putting your shoulders down or doing some shoulder rolls with a couple deep breaths, doing something that will bring you a little bit of energy so that you can continue. I call it the roller coaster, and it's really hard once you're on a roller coaster to slow it down, but maybe enjoy the exhilarating ride that you're on. All right, one last, anybody have anything to share or comment on or question for Sarah before we do prizes and wrap this up?
I was just going to say that often I don't feel I have time to pray, but I will stop and say the rosary during the day. And starting out, I'm very tense because I'm thinking of things also that I should be doing. And by the time I'm finished, I am totally relaxed. And it really, really does help me.
Yeah, interesting that we often feel we don't have time to do the things that we know are so important. But if we can make even a few minutes, it actually does give us more time. I did something to my chat screen here. I wanted to read the chat. There was something in there about going outside, and now I can't read it. Could somebody else that can get the chat, could they read that one that was commented?
So Kyla just said, when it's nice out, I find spending a few extra minutes with my pets in the yard or outside very beneficial. So get yourself a pet, she says.
Yes, and Sarah, I believe you have a pet that's wanting to be let out here at noon, don't you?
Yes, I'm sure she'll be very excited when I come home.
Well, thank you so very much, Sarah, for taking your time and sharing some very important messages with us today over the mental pillar and the 7 dimensions, that they are all so connected. And we know that, right? We're all smart individuals. We've lived enough years on this earth that we know it's important. Now it's trying to make a priority and figuring out how we can get a little more joy and balance in our lives. So Sarah, thank you very much. I know you have a very busy plate and lots going on. We wish you all the best, and thank you for this again. Thank you for everyone who showed up, but do not leave yet. I need to find the prize. So the team, we changed things this year that every week we are doing a draw for a team. And then that team captain, I will send you a message to say congratulations. And then you decide how you would like to share that prize amongst your team members. Maybe it's the person who's got the highest points, or maybe it's someone who's struggling a little and you know they could do with an extra pick me up. So team captains, you get the power to decide who gets this prize. Today, I'd like to say a huge thank you to Evolve Fitness. They have given a certificate for a 1-month membership, and Central Avenue Physio. I don't know if you can see it. What is the name of this thing again? It's called the back knobber. So you can do a massage of your back with this. So these 2 are the prizes today. And Mary, could you please pick a number between 1 and 23, but you cannot pick 19 because that was the Schaefer family who won last week.
20.
Number 20. It's the Team Nutters. This is the Nutters staff, and I will let Becky Thies, if that's how I pronounce it correctly, I will let them know they are the lucky winners, and I will pass it on. And a huge thank you to our prize sponsors, Central Avenue Physiotherapy and also Evolve Fitness for this week's prizes. I wish you all the very best. I will get this video up as soon as I can so you can share it with the rest of your team. I will be sending out that weekly email. I'll send one out today, well, as soon as I can get it up there, and then also on Monday again. So have a great day, everyone. Good luck with the Wellness Challenge. Keep drinking that water and have lots of fun and working on your wellness pillars. Take care, everyone. Have a great day.